Hi everyone, my name is Brittani B.A. Franc and I am an indie author. I own an online bookstore that specializes in surprise book dates as well as sharing other indie stories, and I am a serial hobby collector. I love all the hobbies. And right now I am currently working on my second novel entitled, for now, Project Magic, and it is the largest novel I have written to date. Oh my gosh, this thing is so big. But I've been enjoying writing every single moment of it, even when I didn't. I'm here today with my trusty notebook because I have a lot to say about some things. And in regards, especially to book reviews. So this is my unfiltered vent about reviewing books, specifically as an author. Let's settle in. So there is truly a lot about book reviewing that I'm not a fan of. For one, the star system. I have never been a fan of the star system. I get it. I get why it's important. I get why everyone, that's the main way of reviewing books. However, I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm just saying it right now. I don't like it. And it really is because I find it incredibly difficult to put a star or a series of stars on any given book. Like, what if the book is kind of in between a 2-star in some areas and a 5-star in other areas? Because let me tell you, I have read so many books where I was actively engaged and I could not put the book down, but I didn't like the writing at all. I thought it was just really bland or whatever. And it was the characters that were engaging to me and I was really interested in their story. Or I have written things that have the most beautiful writing I have ever experienced in my life, but I was bored to tears by the actual plot of the story. So how do you even go about reviewing something like that? And then when you have to compare what you've reviewed in the past to what you're reviewing now, I always get in my head about that. I'm saying hey, X is 5 stars. Then I read Y and Y wasn't like X. So can I give it 5 stars or do I have to give it lower? Where do I go between 4.25 stars and 4.75? All of that. It's just a mess. I don't like it. I don't prefer the star system. So that's vent number 1. I hate it. And you will actually find on my reviewing accounts that I have literally given reviews to books without stars. I just put my review down because, again, how do you do it? Okay, vent number 1 over. This book is here to help me not get off track because that is exactly what I'll do if given the opportunity. This is really the main part of my venting, and that is the particular confines in which I find or I have seen authors be put into in regards to reviewing. And this is just specific to other authors. So I have talked to other author friends or other writer friends. I have looked at other author pages, and there's this unwritten rule that we cannot leave a negative review anywhere. It's not good. It's taboo. You shouldn't be doing it. And I get it. I do understand the reasoning behind it because it's not a great look for one author to be poo-pooing on another author, and I get that. However, outright poo-pooing is very different to me than legitimate criticism of a work. And I also think that people tend to forget that as an author and as a reader, I'm just one person and it's just an opinion. It's not fact. If I don't like a book, it doesn't mean that that book is bad. In fact, usually when I don't like a book, it's not because I think that the writing is terrible, although I have read quite a number of books where the writing genuinely was really hard to get through. However, most of it is just opinion. And a lot of it really has to do with what my expectations were for a book going in versus what the book actually gave me by the end. So how is that bad? How is that not why is there that taboo of you shouldn't be sharing your opinion because it happens to be quote unquote negative? I don't actually think it's negative. I think it's just, my opinion, and it just happens to go against the grain. And it's not oh, I loved it. That's fine. And in fact, I actually respect reviewers most who do that, who give me very clear reasons as to why they did not like something rather than just saying, oh, I didn't like it, this was terrible. Like, no, give me X, Y, and Z. Tell me why you didn't like it. So I think that there's like just a bit of nuance missing from this conversation. And I really want that to come back, because I think that there are like some very legitimate, oh my gosh, look at all that fur, boysenberry. Look at that. You have so much. You are shedding like crazy. And so I really do believe that the whole reason, what are you sniffing? What are you sniffing? You just want pets? You just want some love? Yeah, baby. And so I think that we're also forgetting like the whole reason, the whole architecture behind book reviews is to let other people know what your personal experience was, so that they can then decide whether or not to invest in that reading experience themselves. Like, there have been plenty of times that I've read a review that brought up some good points and made me realize like, hey, actually, I don't think that this book is what I thought it was going to be. And so I don't think I'm going to read it, not because I have anything against the author or the writing, but because there are so many books in this world that I have a very limited amount of time and I want to read what I want to read when I want to read it. Why waste time reading something that's not going to resonate with you? Isn't that the whole point? I mean, it is my toxic trait, after reading a book that I didn't particularly love or had like criticisms of, to go and find the negative reviews and read them just to know that I wasn't alone. So I think that that's the other side of reviews. It helps you connect with other people who had a similar viewpoint to you. And on the opposite side of the coin, it also helps to, expand your knowledge or expand your worldview and think of the story from another perspective that maybe you hadn't considered before. Again, how is any of this bad? All of this sounds really good. It's reviews are literally there as a way of inspiring discussion and debates and critical thinking. And by not letting authors say their critical views or express their criticisms, we're taking a huge part of the population out of the reviewing process, and I just don't like it. For example, for me specifically, I recently read Babel by R.F. Kuang, and from the jump, I really believed that this was going to be a 5-star read for me. I was really getting into the academia of it, like the writing, all of the critiques and questions revolving around, racism, colonialism, and exploitation. I thought that that was all well and good. However, as I got closer to the end of the book, things started falling apart a little bit for me, and I was left wanting. I don't know what it was that I was left wanting. Something just kept falling flat and never quite clicked into place, but I couldn't put my finger on it. So, true to form, I went to the negative reviews because that's where the critiques are usually held, and I read them, and I realized a lot of those negative 1 and 2 star reviews were bringing up very valid points, and it helped me to realize what I was having trouble with in regards to that book. And so I'm very thankful that I was able to go and do that and have that critical thinking to be like, hey, why didn't this resonate with me? Can someone articulate? Because I'm struggling. And plenty of people were able to. And it doesn't mean that the book was terrible. There were so many, like I said, great aspects about that book that I really loved. But in the end, the book was not 5 on 5 stars. It wasn't as life-changing as I had hoped it would be. And that was just because the ending of the book didn't match the expectations that the beginning of the book had set for me. And that was just for me alone as a personal one human experience. And I think that that's maybe another thing that we need to remember is that all of us, every single human in existence is so incredibly unique. We are all coming to stories at different times of our lives with different experiences through seeing it through different lenses, and we're going to pick up on different things. And you could read the same book at 19 that you read at 29 and have a totally different experience. You could have loved that book at 19 and turn around and hated it at 29, or vice versa. And it's because you are a different human from then to now. So yeah, I think that's beautiful, honestly, that we all have these varying opinions and that we're allowed to change our opinions. So I just feel like we should be allowed to express those opinions, obviously in a very respectful manner, because yes, writing a book is incredibly difficult. It is incredibly, vulnerable, putting yourself out there. But as an author, if I were to read a negative review, 100%, I would probably get my feelings a little bit hurt. But I would also go into reading that review of my work with a grain of salt, knowing that once I release my art into the world, it's kind of no longer in my control. Other people are going to bring all of those said experiences with them to the table and view my book in a way that I potentially didn't write it. Actually, that's probably going to happen. That's almost a guarantee. Every piece of art is a collaboration between the artist and the person viewing and digesting that art. And that's just how it is, It's like a dance. We're dancing, but we're just not in the same room. And basically, this event was just as a precursor in case you ever see any reviews on this channel, come back here, come view this. Remind yourself that I'm just one person reviewing one thing, and I'm not judging you if you liked something that I absolutely did not. That is not the case. I just have a different opinion than you. We can all like what we like without judgment of one another. And I just don't think that as an author, I should be limited in the types of reviews that I'm allowed to, leave. And I should, as long as they're done with tact and, the utmost respect for the other author and their work, then I think that every author, every artist, every writer, every person should be able to leave the reviews that they want to leave. And just remember that none of this is black and white. There are so many shades of gray, so many nuances to everything. And it's in the depths of all that gray, in the depths of all those layers, that true discussion lies and true understanding lies, and coming to new opinions and new outlooks on things. And I think that that's just so beautiful, and that's what I want to get back to. That's really what I want to see in this world, is more of that open discussion, being able to hold another's opinion that's opposite to yours and say, hey, you know what, you make a really good point. I didn't think of it that way. Thank you so much for enlightening me to it. Or even if you don't agree with them in the end, that's okay too. Being like, hey, I hear you. I understand that you hold that viewpoint, but it's not something that I see or that I took away from this book. And then, moving on. Nobody's feelings need to get hurt with us just expressing our own opinions. Yeah, because in the end, I'm simply sharing one opinion, like I said, in a sea of billions. And that's beautiful. And yeah. Happy reviewing. Let's all get to reviewing our favorite things. Let's all get to discussing our favorite, our least favorite, and everything in between, and make it a more complex, diverse, awesome landscape for book reviews and talking about books. Because in the end, isn't that what we all like? We just love books. We're just so freaking passionate about books that we want to talk about them all day long, regardless of if they were good or bad. That's just all that we want to do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to say, screw it, and talk to you guys about whatever books that, happen to leave a really big impression with me. And I hope that you're here for the ride. All right. I guess I'll see you all next time. Thank you so much for staying as I ranted about book reviews. And yeah, let me know in the comments below if there's ever been a time that, you didn't leave a review on something because you weren't sure how others would perceive it, or you thought that maybe they would think negatively of you because of that review. I'd love to hear. I know I've done it. I haven't said everything that I want to say, but I'm just going to, going forward, try a little bit harder to share a little bit more. Bye. Bye. Boysenberry. Yeah? You want to say goodbye? You want to say bye?